What's up, guys? Let's do some more SQL. So here we have a question called Leetflex banned accounts, and we just have one table called login info, and this table may contain duplicate rows, and it has information about the login and logout dates of accounts, and it also has the IP address from which the account was logged in or logged out from, and it's guaranteed that the logout time is after the login time. And we need to write a solution to find the account ID of the accounts that should be banned from Leetflex. An account should be banned if it was logged in at some moment from two different IP addresses, right? So let's look at this example. As you can see, account 1 right here, they were logged in from two different IP addresses, and our login time for these two, so this one logged in earlier at 8 a.m. and then they logged out at 11 a.m. But then at that same time, someone from a different IP address is logged in while this same account was logged in, right? So there was an overlap. So there was 8 a.m. and then 11:30, and then someone at 9 a.m. logged in and logged out at 9:30, right? So obviously this one should be banned because there are two people sharing that account on two different IP addresses, right? And the person on IP address 1 logged in while the person on IP address 2 was still logged in, right? So hopefully that explanation makes sense. And, as you can see for 4, two different IP addresses, someone logged in at 16, which is about 4 p.m., and they logged out around 5 p.m., right? And someone looks like they logged in exactly at 5 p.m. and logged out at, let's say 5, almost 6 o'clock, so like 6 p.m., right? So someone logged in exactly at the same time that someone logged out, which shouldn't be possible, I guess, in this example. So that's why we have 1 and 4 here. And let's talk about how we would do this question. So let's look at what if we were able to build a table in which we can see every single account and relate that to another login, logout sequence on a different IP address, right? So say we had this account here, we had account ID 1 and someone logged in on IP address 2, or 1 and 2. So we have like IP 1, IP 2, and then you could see the login for someone at number 1, which is 9 a.m., and then they logged out at 9:30 a.m. And then for the second one, they logged in at 8 a.m. And then they also logged out at 11:30 a.m., right? And we can go through and we can basically look at or join our tables wherever the account ID is the exact same and the IP address is different. And then we can compare our login, logout times. And that'll cover every single scenario in which there could be a potential overlap, right? So if you join our login table, our log info table, with another log info table on where the account ID is the exact same, but the IP address is different, then you get a row for every single scenario in which there could potentially be an overlap, right? So basically, we can look at every possible combination where there were two different IP addresses, and if there was an overlap between those times, then that account should be banned, right? So basically, we have our log info table, and we want to join that again with a log info table, and we just want to do an inner join because we don't want to do a left join, because say we have someone who is just logging in on their own IP address. If they don't have any problems, if they don't have anyone else logging in from a different IP address, then we shouldn't. They're good, right? They're not using the account incorrectly, and we just want to look at the rows where there are different IP addresses logging in from the same account ID, and then we just want to check those login logout dates if they have any intersections, right? So how do we check for an intersection? So say for this example, right? Someone logs in at 9 a.m., logs out at 9:30, and then the second one, 8 a.m. and 11:30. Well, all you have to do is we need to take the smallest, the earliest date, the earliest time, so 8 a.m., and then we see they logged out at 8:30 or 11:30 a.m., and we need to check if the larger login date falls within this time, right? So 9 a.m. does. So this we would consider an intersection, right? So if you know anything about sliding windows, it's like a similar concept. So this would be a really quick way to check if there is any overlap between these two times. Or if you know anything about intervals in regular DSA, this would make sense. So let's get on to coding. So let's first build our large table with our join and see every possible place where there could be a potential for a banned account. So let's look at that. Let's do A. And we'll join it on a dot account ID and a dot IP address doesn't equal B's IP address, right? So let's do a dot account ID. So looking at that. So here we have every possible scenario where, there are two accounts, or there's one account logging in from two different IP addresses, right? There's every scenario for that. And looking at our login, log out, we can determine, where the intersections happened, right? So that means we need to somehow order our login, logouts, or we need to do some kind of statement in which we can check for an overlap, right? So let's do a where. Let's do where, and we can do a case statement here, right? So say A's login is less than B's login, then we can check if A's login is less than or equal to B's login, but B's login is less than our logout time, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do we can say a login is less than or equal to B login, and B's login is less than or equals to A's logout time. And then we can do an else statement. Copy this, but flip it. So B login. So B logged in, then A logged in that time frame. And A logged in before B logged out. And let's take a look at what this looks like. So that gives us this. So as you can see, there's an intersection here. So this person logged in at 8 a.m. and someone else logged in at 9 a.m. But the first person logged in or logged out later. So this is a intersection, and as you can see, same for these rows. So we can just delete these. We have some duplicate account IDs, so we can just say distinct. Let's run this. And this worked. So hopefully that makes sense, especially with our intersections. And yeah, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.